Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm doing another interview. My guest today is on the next step. They have recently competed on Who Said It, and today they're going to come back for an interview. So they're going to tell us a little bit more about themselves and their career. And today, Liam Mackey will be joining me, who played Finn on the next step.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Liam Mackey here. As you know, I play Finn on the next step, and I'm here today to be interviewed by the one and only Charlie. And Charlie, let's get right into it.
Thank you so much for coming back to do an interview with me, Liam. So, obviously today we're going to talk about your dancing and acting career. My first question is, when did you first get into the dancing world?
So I got into dance when I was 3 years old, but then I got into the sort of professional dancing world when I would say, about 15, and I'm almost 21, so it's been about 6 years of professional dancing. Yeah.
And did you do like group dancing, and were you part of a dance studio before you got into it professionally?
Yeah, so actually I started at a studio like 2 minutes down the road from my house called Can Dance, and that was my very first studio as a kid. Then I started to kind of move elsewhere to different studios and hear of different choreographers and teachers that were at different studios and who I might feel inspired by. So then once I moved to a different studio for a couple of years, I said, time to move one more time. So I've moved a total of 3 times to different studios in my studio life. And once I moved to a studio that was about 45 minutes from my house, I was there for 8 years, and then I came back to teach for a couple of years after that. And yeah, I was doing every kind of group. I was doing hip hop, jazz, lyrical, contemporary. I was doing ballet classes. I wasn't doing a ballet group, but I was doing ballet classes. And and that dance studio was Project Dance. Shout out to Project Dance in Chilliwack.
Oh, that's fantastic, and it's super cool that you trained in all of those styles, and I think that's really amazing. So, obviously you played Finn on The Next Step, and what was it like auditioning for that role?
Oh my goodness, I get asked this all the time. Okay, this is probably one of the funniest stories ever. So I remember getting a call from my agent at the time. I was landscaping actually, so I was doing some yard work for my buddy's dad's company. And my agent calls me and she says, "Hey, there's an opportunity, there's a self-tape being put out for a lead role in The Next Step." And I had heard of The Next Step because Dylan and Berkeley have been my good friends for probably about 10, 11 years now. So I've known the Ratslaps for a really long time. So Dylan was on the show, and my other good homie Zach Brand, who plays Hunter on the show, they had all been on the show, and I kind of heard of it and heard of good things. So I said, you know what, let's just give it a shot and let's just put down a self-tape. So I went to the dance studio, went to Project Dance. I videoed myself dancing, kind of telling them who I was, and then a couple of days later they called me back saying they're super interested in me and that they would like for me to fly out to Toronto. And I'm all the way out in Vancouver, so Toronto's on the complete opposite side of Canada. So it's about a 4.5, 5-hour flight to Toronto. So I flew to Toronto with my mom. We went for the weekend, and I get there and I'm like one of the only kids from like Vancouver. Everybody else has been is a Toronto local. They're all from the Ontario area. And once I get to the audition room, there's easily about 1,000 kids. And I was super overwhelmed. I was super nervous. And then you walk into this room, and in front of you is like this table of about 10 different people. There's Amy Wright, who's the choreographer, executive of the show, and then there were some directors and some executive producers, and there was our acting coach, Jan, who was there. And so super intimidating, and I don't know any of these people. I'm just here to just show them what I can do best. So then we went through each day. There was 3 days, so each day we went through 3 different rounds of auditioning. It was a freestyle, a combo round, and then an acting round. So basically, and then after each round they'd cut probably, I can't even tell you how many kids they'd cut, but each round they'd cut different kids, be like, okay, thanks, bye, okay, thanks, bye. And if you had made it to the end of the last round at that day, you would wait for a call that night to see if you're coming back the next day for the next 3 rounds. So obviously I did my 3 rounds, came home, eating some food, got the call, Liam and coming back to the Saturday auditions, or the recalls, whatever, the callbacks, sorry. And then Saturday, the exact same thing, call, next thing, Sunday. Then it's down to like 15 kids, and it's like, holy, this is crazy. And then we just did a whole bunch of acting stuff. And long story short, crazy long process. A ton of kids were auditioning for Finn and other roles, other female roles. And then they said that we'd find out in about 10 days as I'm flying back to Vancouver, and that 10 days had passed, no call. And a month had passed, no call. A month and a half had passed, and I'm in ballet class, and I get a call from my agent saying that I've booked the role as Finn and that they need me to move out to Toronto in 6 days for 3.5 months. So yeah, it was a bit of a crazy process, but super thankful for it.
Wow, what an amazing process your audition was, and it's super cool, like, the different rounds as well, and it's amazing, like, 6 rounds, I think, altogether, which is quite a lot of rounds to go through, and it's amazing that you got to audition for it. So, do you look up to anybody in the dance world?
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of people I look up to. I mean, honestly, my hip-hop teacher, Paul Otterbein, he was my hip-hop teacher since I was probably 7 or 8 years old, all the way up until like 18 years old. So I've known him for I've known him for like 12, 13 years now, but he was my coach and mentor for about 10 years. And then he brought me under his wing because I wanted to start choreographing. So he brought me under his wing and really mentored me, and yeah, I kind of owe it to him for a lot of the knowledge and skills that I know today. I definitely owe it to this guy. But yeah, there's tons of dancers, a lot of dancers on Instagram that I follow. There's too many to name, but yeah, I've got lots of inspiration. My mom's a big inspiration actually to me in my dancing. She's not the most professional dancer, but she definitely knows how to move, and I definitely she's great. So but yeah, I've got lots of inspiration, and I like to pull different things from different people, because every single person has something else and unique to bring to the table. So if you can pull from different people and what they know and their skills, then awesome.
Oh, fantastic. I love how people who you know inspire you, and I think that's incredible. So, as well as the next step, you've also done Descendants 3. So, what was that experience like for you?
Oh my goodness, Descendants 3. That was honestly probably one of the best summers ever. It was long hours of rehearsals, long days on set. I think Berkeley and I and a couple others, I think we had like an 18-19 hour day once, and it was just insane. Like your body just shuts off, and you're just kind of running on fumes. And but honestly, like, it was just such an amazing experience. There's so many professional, amazing people on set. The dance level, oh my goodness, was just through this roof. The flips, the tricks, the creativity, the mastermind of Kenny Ortega, like, just honestly, I'm speechless. It was such an amazing opportunity, and I feel so thankful to have been given that shot to be a part of something so magical like D3.
Yeah, Descendants 3 does sound magical, and it sounds amazing as well, so it's super cool that you got to be part of something like that. So, do you have any advice to people who want to get into the dancing or acting world?
Yeah, I think honestly, well, first of all, my biggest piece of advice is there is never an age that's too old to start dancing or acting. Honestly, I think a lot of people get mixed up with the fact that, oh, I'm 21 years old, oh, I'm 26, like I've missed it. No. You can still take dancing classes. You can still work on your work on your what's the word I'm trying to find here? You can still work on your skills. You can still work on your skills at any age, because at the end of the day, anybody can move. Anybody can pick up choreo. Yes, sometimes classes are more difficult than others, but at the end of the day, everybody can move. And if I could say one thing to people that are wanting to get into dancing, I think just going out and just taking class that you want to, and pushing yourself, and yes, there's a side of what's the word? I can't speak right now. Yes, you might be afraid and shy to push yourself because you're unsure, but that's good, because that means you're learning. That means you're putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, and in a good way, in a good uncomfortable situation, of learning a new skill. But I would say if you're freshly new to dancing, I would honestly just put some music on, go dance in the living room, dance in the kitchen, just groove it out. I tell people this all the time, that even just a simple step to the side, that's dancing. As simple as it is, that's dancing, because dancing is you feeling the music and doing what you feel is right by dancing to that music. And if all it is just like a step to the side, that's dancing. So it's not, don't overthink it. Take any class you feel comfortable with. And if you feel like you would like to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, by taking a class that might be a little bit harder than what you think, that's a good thing. And as far as acting goes, there's tons of different acting workshops. There's tons of different classes, but what I find that really benefits me the most is I have a couple different acting coaches, and I pay the money to go have one-on-one coaching. Now, everybody learns differently, but I learn best if it's one-on-one coaching. Instead of a class of 10, you only get half an hour to work with the coach, and then for the rest of the class, you're sitting on your butt, kind of just watching everybody else. So for me, it's beneficial to go to my coach and just do like for me, it's beneficial to just go to my coach and do a scene study, and we just go through the script, the 2 to 6 pages, whatever it is, and we just go through it together, and we just work on it together, just one-on-one. That's what's most beneficial to me. But again, everybody learns differently, and I think you just have to find what works best for you. But there's tons of different learning platforms. There's YouTube, there's in-person virtual classes, there's tons of different things. But just do some research, and again, whatever you feel most comfortable with, whether it's a group environment, a class setting, or if it's just one-on-one, just find what you feel best in.
Yeah, that's some amazing advice, so thank you so much for sharing it. And I definitely agree, like, as long as you can move, you can consider it dancing. So I think that's some amazing advice, so thank you for sharing it. So, as well as dancing and acting, you are also a professional DJ, and you come under the name of DJ Leaps. So can you tell me a bit more about that?
You want me to tell you a bit more about the name, or just DJing in general? Okay. Yeah, so I've been DJing for probably about 3 years now, maybe coming up on 4. I don't know, 3 or 4 between then. And I've always been super passionate about music. It really just started out with me just kind of mixing around with some beats in GarageBand on my MacBook. Excuse me. Yeah, just mixing some beats on GarageBand, and then I just reached out to some of my friends, in specific, Josh Bogart, who was on the Family Channel show Backstage. His brother is a professional DJ, like full-time, and so I reached out to him and I said, hey man, like, I'm looking at getting into some DJing. What do you recommend for a beginner sort of deck? We call them DJ controllers. So what do you recommend for a DJ controller? He said this and this, blah, blah, blah. So I went ahead and ordered that, and then it was just as simple as me literally sitting on my couch and just kind of playing around with all the buttons and everything. And I actually booked my first gig as a DJ without a DJ controller. It was a wedding for the studio owner of Project Dance, so my second home. She was getting married, and she was like, oh my goodness, Liam, like, we would love to have you do the DJing and do the music for my wedding. I said, perfect. And so I didn't have any equipment, I didn't have any speakers, no cords, no DJ controller, no mixer, nothing. all I showed up with was my computer, and I had my DJing software on my computer, and I was mixing the songs like with my trackpad of my computer. I was clicking the keys on the keyboard. Like, it was honestly, I would love to look back now and see how bad that mix was, because I'm sure it was awful, but it didn't matter because every single person was just having the time of their lives. It was just so much fun, and I could have honestly have just clicked play on a playlist on like YouTube or something, and it still would have been a great night. So and then it just kind of went off from there, and then I just started getting my name around. Started just putting myself out there to my friends, being like, hey, I'm like a fresh new DJ kind of thing. Could I come by for a couple hours and put on a party for you guys, and just let me know what you think. So did that for a couple of weeks, and got some great advice back. And so then I started reaching out to other people, doing like corporate events, other weddings, DJing up at like a ski and snowboarding mountain that's close to my house, grad events, birthday parties, everything, you name it, I've done it all. And yeah, it's just so much fun. I love music in general, and I just love mixing and being the reason people are having a good time and vibing. So yeah, I love DJing, and I'm so glad. I was literally just messing around with my controller, and I'm pretty much, I would say 98% self-taught. Zero class instruction. It's just YouTube. I call it YouTube University because it's very knowledgeable these days, YouTube University. And just trial and error, what sounds good, what doesn't, and just making note of it, and then applying it to when I get to work. Because at the end of the day, honestly, all DJing is trial and error. And sometimes even when you're mixing, you're like, ooh, that didn't sound good, I'm never gonna do that again. But then sometimes when you're doing a live set, it's like, oh dang, that actually sounded really good, let's keep that noted for next time. So it's a lot of trial and error, but yeah, love it.
Yeah, DJing sounds like a really cool hobby and an amazing thing to do. So my next question is, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
That's a good question. Where do I see myself in 10 years' time? Well, I'll tell you what, I definitely see myself out of the house and not living in the basement suite of my parents' place in 10 years' time. I see myself dancing, and acting, probably still in Vancouver. I'm going down to LA in about a month here to meet up with some casting directors and get my name out down there, and see a friend of mine that I haven't seen in 6 years. So I'm gonna go see him. And yeah, I would say probably just dancing and acting and DJing and kind of playing soccer and just kind of doing it all in 10 years' time. I like to have many different like sources of income, so that it's not just like teaching. That's my only source of income. I like to have dancing, teaching, acting, DJing. I like to have lots of different revenue sources, and yeah, I would say probably, definitely, hopefully, knock on wood, still doing everything I love. That's what I hope to see myself doing in 10 years' time.
Oh, fantastic. And you have some great kind of plans and goals for your future, which is super cool. And yeah, fingers crossed they all happen. So we talked about what it was like auditioning for the next step, but what was it actually like being on TNS and getting to work with the cast?
Oh my goodness. I remember a lot of things about my first day actually going to set. The first day I ever went to like the Next Step studio, it was for like a social media kind of meeting, and just kind of them just updating us on and telling us how to be professional on social media, kind of stuff you already knew, but you just kind of have to just be told it, so you're not acting unprofessional. Unprofessional? Wow, that's not a word. Unprofessional. So you're not acting unprofessional on social media. And then after all those meetings were done, signed some paperwork, and then we headed right to the studio, right into Studio A. And oh my goodness, like seeing, there's nothing more cool than seeing a set that you see on TV. It was just unbelievable. Like the day I walked in there with, I think it was Berkeley, and it was Berkeley, Sage, and Emerly. So Kenzie, Summer, and Davis on the show. We all walked in at the same time, and we're all just like looking around, just like taking it all in, and just being like, just so in awe that this is like our new workplace, our new work environment. And then my first ever rehearsal actually for TNS 6 was with Briar, and we actually, because we had a duo in episode 4 of season 6, I think, maybe episode 3, I don't know. Ooh, don't quiz me on that because I don't know. But it was around, it was 3. Okay, yeah, thanks. Charlie knows. So yeah, so we had our duo in episode 3. So that was my first ever rehearsal, and I came a little bit early because I was just like nervous and didn't want to be late for my first rehearsal. And then Briar, she like comes running down the stairs, and she's just like fully like stretched out, like this big, like massive, like ray of sunshine just walked into the room, and she's just like jumping, like full of excitement, like she's ready to go, and like the highest pitch voice ever, but she was just so excited. And yeah, and then it was so cool to just work with her for the first time ever, because I've seen lots of videos about her, lots of like dance videos, of course. So it's kind of cool to actually dance with her and yeah, get to know her in person.
Yeah, that's super cool, and I think like the first rehearsal definitely sounds like a kind of nerve-wracking but also amazing experience. Just a random question, I don't know if you remember, but in season 6, Finn said, was it episode 4 or something, he was saying that he fancied Rochelle. So did you ever see those two together?
Oh, is that when I was talking to Ozzy about it? Does Rochelle have a boyfriend? No, I think Rochelle is, well, no, I know Rochelle is a lot more professional and a lot more mature than Finn. But she's also a little diva. I don't think Finn likes divas. But no, Rochelle's a good friend to Finn, but no, they're not meant to be. Piper and Finn are.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was just wondering, because obviously, like, that was before Finn and Piper had their kind of romance, whatever you would call it, in season 6. So as well as filming on The Next Step, you also got to tour Australia and the UK. So what was it like touring?
Oh my goodness, this was all pre-COVID. This was literally just before COVID had hit. We filmed season 7 in the summer in Toronto, and I of course was away from home for about 2.5 months when we filmed, and then we went straight on the road. We flew Toronto to LA, then we had a 4-hour layover in LA, and then we flew 16 hours from LA to Australia. And that was just like, honestly, it was the best time of my life. Touring and getting to meet all of you fans, seeing new places I've never seen in the world, kind of almost waking up in a new city almost every day, was super, super wicked. Yeah, like we would just be living out of a suitcase essentially, and there were some days where like I'd go shopping and I'd come back with some new clothes, and then they wouldn't all fit in my suitcase, so I'd actually have to like get rid of some like older clothes that I'm like, okay, I'm okay with leaving these ones here, to actually make room. So it was great. I mean, we were always, every 3 or 4 days we were on a new flight to a different city in Australia. Australia is probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in the world. Absolutely just gorgeous. We didn't have a single bad meal in Australia, FYI. Every single meal we had was top notch. And then coming to the UK, it was completely different because we were on a tour bus the entire time. So for about 3 weeks, we were literally driving around the whole entire UK pretty much. That was when we were waking up in a new city every single day. So we'd drive for like 6 hours in the night, and we'd go to bed, and we'd wake up in a new city. We'd be at the venue. So yeah, it was just like the amount of time. No, that's not the word. What was I trying to say? There was so much time to really bond with one another, especially in the UK, because we were all on the tour bus and kind of forced to like bond with each other. Yes, don't get me wrong, we all had our times where like some people were just really getting on our nerves and we just wanted to escape and we go to our bed or something. but for the most part, everybody was just like super solid. I brought my PS4 on the bus, so I traveled with it with me, and us guys, me, Miles, Isaiah, Noah, we'd all play FIFA or 2K or hockey or whatever, and yeah, it was just such an amazing time. And then of course the UK has some of the best fans. You guys were just unbelievable, and yeah, no, it was, I'll say it again, literally the best experience of my life, and I cannot wait for COVID to be over. I don't know when that will be, but I cannot wait for it to be over so we can do this again, because it was so amazing. So yeah, touring, best experience of my life, and I cannot wait to do it again.
Yeah, touring sounds incredible, and yeah, hopefully you'll get to do it again, fingers crossed, in the future after COVID. And I have one more question for you, and my final question is, do you have any next step stories?
Yeah, so my tape for the next step that I sent in, it was the first ever self-tape I'd ever sent in, so I had really no idea what I was doing, and I was just kind of like, okay, we'll just put together a video of me dancing, talking, and just telling them who I am and whatever, and blah blah blah, and put it all together. And I'm pretty sure I was wearing this hat actually. I was wearing kind of like this, so you couldn't really see my face, and you just couldn't see anything of my face, nothing. And the audio was terrible, the lighting in the studio was awful, the quality of the video was terrible, so they really couldn't see who I was, period. And yeah, so again, they still to this day, they told me, kind of laughing, they were like, Liam, just so you know that self-tape that you sent in, this was after I was hired. So I was hired, I was filming, and then they told me later on down the road that, Liam, that tape that you sent us was one of the worst tapes we've ever seen in our lives. So it kind of goes to show you that if you can impress them with your words and your dancing, then once they actually get to see you in person, then it can be a game changer. So if you just impress them with your words and your dancing, and they can see how you move and they can hear what you're saying, then that's okay. And then once they get to see you in person, then I lost my train of thought. But anyway, I lost my train of thought. Doesn't matter. Long story short, worst self-tape they've ever seen in their lives. And that's what I was gonna say. Sorry. At the end of the day, it's the worst self-tape they've ever seen in their lives. But if you can show up on the in-person audition and impress, that's all that matters. So yeah, that's my story of how I was hired with the worst self-tape they have ever seen. I don't know if I should be proud of that, but
Yeah, that's a pretty cool story to be able to share, and it's super cool as well. So we have come to the end of the interview, and thank you so much for coming back on and talking about yourself and telling us more about the next step in touring. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Charlie, thank you again for reaching out and doing awesome stuff like this, because I love doing it. And yeah, anytime. Hopefully we can do another Who Said What, whatever, very soon. Another game, because you know what, not even lockdown, COVID's got me bored. So yeah, we gotta do some more stuff like this for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to see what happens in the future.
Yeah, guys, so I have some really exciting news coming up. June 19th, it's a Saturday. It's happening at 4 p.m. GMT. And what it is it's a hip-hop workshop with myself. It's gonna take place over Zoom. The link I will post on my Instagram, and maybe I'll send it to Charlie so we can get that whole thing going. But yeah, it's gonna be super fun. It's open to all ages, all levels. It's literally just about coming and having some fun and dancing over Zoom. And also, there's only 100 tickets. And everybody that purchases a ticket gets the opportunity to meet me on Zoom. So we're gonna do 5 lucky people. 5 lucky people get the opportunity to meet me meet and greet me. We'll talk. I'll answer some questions, get to know me, whatever. But yeah, it'll be super fun. This is all taking place June 19th, 4 p.m. GMT. And yeah, we will hope to see you guys soon.
Amazing. Yeah, I'll definitely try and share that. Thank you to everybody who watched this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon for another one. Bye, guys.
Peace.